As last week we have talked and discussed about account determination. In this week we are going a step forward and we're going to create a new movement type and we're going to assign a new account modification. Watch it till the end. Have you seen my last video? It was about SAP account determination, integration between MM and a file. Check it out. Also, if you don't want to miss any of these videos again, please subscribe and turn on notifications.
Hello and welcome back to another new free weekly video. Today we will talk about movement types. When you enter a good movement in the system, you must enter a movement type to differentiate between the various good movements. A movement type is a 3-digit identification key for a goods movement. The movement type has important control functions in inventory management. For example, the movement type plays an important role in updating of quantity fields and updating the stock and consumption accounts. It also controls the screen of the MyGo transaction. Every movement type has a specific automatic set of screens behind. So when you use different SAP movement types, different types of screens appear in the transaction MyGo. So movement types can also influence message determination. When you enter a goods movement, you start the following chain of events in the system. A material document is created, which is used as proof of the movement and as a source of information for any other applications involved. If the movement is relevant for financial accounting, one or more accounting documents are generated. The stock quantities of the materials are updated. The stock values in the material master record are updated, as are the stocks and consumptions accounts. Depending on the movement type, additional updates are carried out in participating applications. All updates are based on the information contained in the material document and in the financial accounting document. For example, in the case of a good issue for a cost center, the consumption values of the items are also updated. As you can see here, an overview or a general classification of the movement types. You have the one that start with 1, like 101. These all are good receipts with reference to different documents. For example, reference with purchasing, with production, orders, or returns. Then the ones starting with 2 are good issues for consumption, like 201, consumption to a cost center. Then we have with 3 and 4, we have different kinds of transfer. For example, transfer from one store location to another, transfer for one plant to another plant. Then with 5, we have the got received without reference to PO or production order, like 501, 561, entry for initial stock. Then the 6XX, and the one starting with 6, they are logistic execution shipment movement types, like a good issue for sales orders. Then the ones starting with 7 are related to physical inventory. All the activities you perform when you are doing your inventory count, all the posting are done with the movement type with 7. Then the 8 are used in Brazil. And then you have your own custom range. Yeah? So when you create, if you need to create a new movement type, you have to use these ranges. Okay, starting with 9, with X, with Y, or with Z. If you want to see the complete list of all the movement types, you can go to IMG. And transaction for movement type is OMJJ, okay, as here. So this is how the transaction looks like. So you will see that you have all these options to make some kind of customizings, okay, on all these folders, and then each folder will have like a control screen, okay. We will see this now in the customizing section. Let's start with our customizing. So we are already in our IMG. And here we have material management, inventory management. And here you have the option to, below movement types, you have the option to copy, change movement types. And here you have different selections that you can use. And you have to enter the work area where you are going to work. So if you want to see one specific movement type, you just can put that one. Or if you want to see all of them, you can extend your work area. So in this case, we're going to see all the movements from 0 to 9999. Okay, so this is the basic view for the transaction. We see we have different folders, and here you have the list of all the movement types. We can check some parameters of the movement types. We cannot see them all because there are really a lot. But for example, 101 is a good receipt based on a PO. We have entry control fields. The first one is the print item. This is what kind of good receipt slip you're going to use. And this also is used in the message determination when you want to print something from inventory management. So this print item, for example, if we quickly check inventory management access sequence, for example, you can see that it is widely used. This is a field print item. So this can be used for message determination. Also, I guess in this one, we have the same, yes, print item. Okay. Then we have the check for the shelf life expiration date. This is the movement type will, in this case, enter and check. So you can use the functionality of shelf life expirations. Selection parameters. This is for the reports, okay, in which groups this movement will be based. In this case, it's WE 101. Yeah. Here you have all the selection parameters, open good receipts. So for example, if you see one report for purchasing, you have the field selection parameters. Yeah? And here you have the open good receipts. So this is grouped in this selection parameter. Account control, this is if you need to enter a GL account, or if not, or if it's optional. In this case, blank is optional. Okay, but then you have the plus for require, the minus for suppress, or the top if this is optional. Okay. Then how the batches method for classification, always in foreground, okay, for all batches. The control reason, if you need to, in some movement types, you have the option to put some reason of why you're doing that. And you will see in some of them this is mandatory, in some of them it's hidden, and in some cases it's optional. In 101, you see this is minus, so this is suppress. Stock determination rule, if you're using that one, we make a video about stock determination rule 2 weeks ago. How the batches are created, if you're using extended classification, if you can do a good receipt reversal despite the good receipt, the invoice receipt, if this was already posted. Then you have some updating control parameters. For example, if you want to create a storage location automatically, you know that when you create a material master, you can create all the views and also the storage location view in that moment. And then you can use the material in that level. But here you have the option also, if you have not created the storage location view, Then when you make the first good receipt, for example, with 101, if the view is missing, it will be created in that moment. If it's allowed automatic PO, how the consumptions will be, consumption posting. Then you have some internal fields that you cannot change. Okay. Then we have short text. So this is be based on the language movement type. Then you have special stock. For example, in orders, consignment, project. The method, it is on reference of, for example, a purchase order or based on a production order. If this is normal receipt or X like a stock transfer receipt, in the consumption you have, if this is not consumption or with asset. So for each of these combinations, you have like a short text in any language. So let's check English movement type 101. Yes, and you will see all the different combinations, all the different short text. Then we have the allowed transaction, so where we can use the 101. So for example, in MyGo, we can use 101. For example, with the service entry sheet. Then here we have as the same as we have short text, we have help text. These are longer text, okay? Just depending on the transaction. Good receipt for you see, this is a longer description. Then we have the batch search procedures. Some field selections for enjoy transaction. You can change is a field is optional or required. Account grouping, we also talked about this last week for the video related to account determination. We will see also this later with other examples. Then for each movement, you need to set a reversal. Okay, so for 101, you have a reversal of 102. And for example, in this case, you have 122. Okay, for the return delivery. And here in the type of posting, this is specifying if you can change or not the original quantity. Okay, for example, in 102, you cannot change the quantity. This is 2. But maybe on the return, you don't want to return everything. You can return just a partial. Okay, so here you can change the quantities. Then you have reason for movements. If you define that reasons are mandatory in the first screen, then here you can include or the list of the reasons. So these are the basic fields. So let's see, for example, 551. This is scrapping, okay, because we are going to use this in our example later. Okay, so this is how this is done. You see that the control reason is optional in this case. Okay, in the other one, in 101, it was suppress. Okay. So now our exercise of today will be with a requirement that it would say that we need to create a new movement type for scrapping, because we need that for one material that it has one valuation class in one plant. We need to differentiate different accounts when we make scrapping for internal materials, let's say that we produce ourselves. Okay, in that case we need to use, let's say, account A when we scrap it. But for the same material, when we buy externally and we want to scrap that part, we want to use a different account. Okay, so in this case we are going to create a new movement type based on the 551, and then we are going to create a new account modifier. And based on the account modifier, we will be doing also the settings for the automatic posting. Based on our requirement that we have defined, let's start by creating a new material. So we're going to create a raw material. We are selecting some views. We're going to use plan 1000 storage location 0001. Let's populate some mandatory data. Let's do this a batch managed material. Evaluation class 3000. Let's put job. And go to the warehouse in views. Okay, and let's save it. So now we have created a material master number 13. So we said that we need to have different accounting posting when we scrap the material based on if this was produced in-house or an external purchase. So let's go and create a PO for this material. We plant 1000. Okay, so we have the PO. And now let's do the code receipt based on the PO. Okay. Movement type 101. Storage location 0001. And we have to enter the batch. So as this is based on a PO, let's call it internal as external. Okay, so we are making a good receipt for 10 units in a batch named as external. Okay, this is done. Now for the internal one, we're not going to create a production order and making all the steps, but in that case, let's make a simulation for our material. Another 10 pieces with movement type 561 in the same plant and storage location. And now let's call this internal. This will be like the in-house production. Okay, so now if we see the stock overview of this part, we can see that in storage location 0001 we have 20 units, and we have 10 units in a batch named external and another 10 units in the batch internal. Okay, so now we are going to create a new material type for scrapping, as we're going to use the standard movement type 551 to scrap the external batch, and then we are going to create a new material type to scrap the internal one, but with different GL accounts for the scrapping. Okay, we are in the customizing for movement types again. So you see here that you don't have the option to make a create from scratch. To create, you are going to copy an existing record. So we are going to copy the 551, and we are going to call it 951. Okay. And we're going to say that we are copying everything. So all the dependent entries will be copied. Okay, there are some entries for transaction that do no longer exist that we have to remove. Okay, so now we have our 951 movement type created. And we can do another change here. For example, in the control reason, we can say that this is required. Okay. And as we need to differentiate the GL account for this movement type, we are going to make a change in the account grouping. Okay, so in the case of 951, okay, without special stock, with updates in values and quantity, yeah, the normal account modification is VNG for scrapping. Okay, so we are going to change this one to ZNG. Okay, and this is saved. And then, as we create a new account modification, we will need to make the account determination for the new one. So in GBB, modification 1, general modification VNG. Okay, this is the standard one VNG for our valuation class that is 3000. So we can make a copy of this one, and we can then maybe put this account. So let's make a copy on this one. So this will be ZNG, and we are going to change the accounts. Okay. So you see now here we have our new entry. Okay. General modification ZNG, that this is linked to the movement type 951 for evaluation class 3000, that is the one in our material. The accounting for scrapping should be this one ended with 20. Yeah? And the original one, the VNG for 3000, ends with 1. Okay. Good. So now let's try to use them. So first we are going to do the scrapping for the external batch. Yeah. Let's grab those, let's grab 5 units. So for external, we said that we're going to use the standard movement type. Okay, plant and storage location. We have the batch. So we're selecting the external batch. Okay, as you can see here, the reason for movement in this case, this is the standard one. So this is optional. Okay, and we make a post. Let's take a look at this document. So in the accounting document, for the scrapping with the standard movement type 551, we have the consumption that is done to the account ending with 1. Okay, and this one is BSX. Okay, the transaction, as this is the stock being reduced, and this is VNG. And now let's do a scrapping. Let's say 2 units. And now let's use the 951. It's a scrapping. And let's call it, let's search for the batch that's internal. Yeah. And if we do a check now, it should ask for a reason, okay, because the reason now is mandatory. So we have to select any reason. Okay. In this case, we could also have changed the short text here to say good issue scrapping internal, for example. Okay. And we can post it. As in the other case, let's go and check the accounting document. So in this case, then we see that the account determined was the was ending with 20. Okay, so this 20, if you remember, it was the one that was linked to set ng. Yeah. So here we have the standard one and with 1, as in the first case for the external. And then we have the set ng for the same valuation class, that is the one ending with 20. And this set ng was the modification that was linked to the movement type 951. So we can take again a look to our stock. Yeah, and now we have 5 units in the external batch and 8 units in the internal one.
If you have enjoyed this video, please give a like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I will see you next time. Bye.